Uhuru, brothers and sisters. My name is Alex Morley. Welcome to Beyond the Boundaries. Today is November 10th, 2019. It's a Sunday. We're here on broadcasting from Nassau, Bahamas. Uhuru, brothers and sisters. This is Beyond the Boundaries. My name is Alex Morley. I am the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party in the Bahamas, and I also head up the front for the African Socialist International for the Caribbean and the South American region. Uhuru, brothers and sisters, welcome to Beyond the Boundaries, the show where we bring you news and information from the African nation and from the international socialist movement. So, brothers and sisters, we're going to get right into it because there's a lot of things going on. The left is on. Let's just keep the fire burning. That's what I would say. Keep the fire burning. As Capleton would say, more fire, more fire. But let me start off with Marcus Garvey, brothers and sisters. Marcus Garvey. Uh, Chairman O'Malley is coming. Chairman O'Malley and brothers and sisters from the African People's Socialist Party from the Uhuru movement. They will be in the Bahamas soon, brothers and sisters. So the first report I want to talk about is that it's called the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise. The Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise. Marcus Garvey, great African brothers and sisters. He has this famous quote that all of us should know: "Africa for the Africans at home and abroad." But the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise is the fundraiser cruise for the African Socialist International, an organization of African people located on virtually every continent, actively working to forward the liberation of Africa and all African people. The ASI is chaired by Omali Yeshitela, who for the past 5 decades has organized African people worldwide to unifying the nation and fighting for power and self-determination. The Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise is a trip like none other, sorry. It is the only cruise where many revolutionaries will be on vacation together, having political education and going on different excursions. And there's a number here where you can call the agent, who's Linda Stern, to reserve your spot. And we want you to reserve your spot for the next Garvey Legacy Cruise. Uh, but that cruise is coming to Nassau, Bahamas, brothers and sisters. Join us on this December 14th to the 19th, 2019, as we sail on the Carnival Cruise from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Half Moon Cay, Nassau, and Freeport of the Bahama Islands. And on December 17th, 2019, brothers and sisters, the cruise will be in Nassau, Bahamas, and Chairman O'Malley Yeshitela will be doing a book signing at the Blackfoot Bookstore and Culture Shop on East Street and on the junction of East Street and Robertson Road. Chairman O'Malley's book is called, the title of the book is The Vanguard, The Advanced Detachment of the African Revolution. The book is from the 7th Congress Political Report, and it is now being published in a book format. The Advanced Detachment of the African Revolution also features solidarity statements, resolutions, and photos from the Congress, and that would be the 7th Congress, brothers and sisters. As chairman, and this is a quote from the book: "The victory of our people will come as a consequence of our success in transforming every colonized African community into a conscious, active opponent of colonialism. We will take organization and ideological development to the heart of the African working class communities where the colonial contradictions are concentrated." So, brothers and sisters, we want you to definitely come out to the Blackfoot Bookstore and Culture Shop on East Street and Robertson Road on December 17th, 2019. We're going to be putting out a flyer in regards to that, but Chairman O'Malley And it's about 20 members, brothers and sisters, who will be down from the Uhuru movement, brothers and sisters from the African People's Solidarity Committee. So they're going to be in town with the African People's Socialist Party Bahamas and Chairman O'Malley. We're going to carry them around whilst they're here, and try to show them. We will show them a good time, and we're going to be. He's going to be at the bookstore for a couple of hours, because they're not going to be here too long. But he's going to be at the bookstore where he's going to be doing some signings, signing his book and giving autographs. So just mingling and talking to people, man. Y'all know how the chairman is kicking. The chairman was here the last time. But brothers and sisters, I want you to come out for that, and we'll be putting out a flyer in regards to that pretty soon. But that's December 17th. Chairman O'Malley and all of the brothers, 20 brothers and sisters all together from the entire Uhuru movement. They're coming down to the Bahamas as a part of a cruise, the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise Tour. So that's the first report that I wanted to talk about, brothers and sisters. Secondly, brothers and sisters, check out, and for the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise, check out theburningspear.com, theburningspear.com. The second story I wanted to talk about, brothers and sisters, is from Cuba. Check out the morningstaronline.co.uk, morningstaronline.co.uk. It says Cuba has been praised for its advances in child health, which a paper published this week in the British Medical Journal attributes partly to the socialist islands' empowerment of women, along with other socio-economic measures. The article, highlighting the success of the country's healthcare system, titled Cuba's Success in Child Health, What Can One Learn?, appears in the latest issue of the authoritative medical journal. It points to World Health Organization figures showing a child mortality rate of 5.5 per 1,000 lives, achieved despite an almost 6-decade economic blockade. This rate is lower than the United States, which has a child mortality rate of 6.5. Cuba has the second lowest child mortality rate in the Americas, just behind Canada. Free universal education means that the country has one of the world's highest doctor-to-patient ratios, and literacy stands at 99.7%, meaning that public health campaigns are able to reach the entire population. Primary health care is one of the major successes of the island's health system, with almost half of Cuban doctors working in such health facilities, according to the article's authors. Cuban pediatrician Miro Costello Gonzalez and Imti Chernera, emeritus professor at the University of Nottingham's School of Medicine. This brings healthcare to two traditionally hard-to-reach rural communities, with each team responsible for about 300 families. Cuba has also achieved a significant reduction in babies with a low birth weight. Just 5.5% of babies are born with a weight of less than 2.5 kilograms, compared with 8.3% in the US, according to 2017 statistics. The article notes that the empowerment of women in civil society has been a major achievement in Cuba and contributes to children's health. First, all girls attend school. Women have the same rights as men in Cuban law and receive equal pay. Maternity leave is 12 months, and the woman's job is protected by law. The majority of professionals in Cuba are women. Additionally, the majority of members of parliament in Cuba are women, with Cuba having the second highest proportion of women in parliament worldwide. This representation in parliament is a reflection of the importance of gender equality in Cuba. Severe malnutrition in children was declared absent in Cuba by UNICEF over a decade ago, and malnutrition is not considered a major problem there despite the blockade. The main lesson is what can be achieved by governments when healthcare is recognized as a priority even with limited resources. Advances in child healthcare can be achieved if there is a political will, the authors say. Cuba is an example of what is possible, they conclude. So I would ask you to check out the Morning Star, brothers and sisters. It's a good article on Cuba and its healthcare system, and it's just being ground healthcare and educational system and fighting for those principles and just how groundbreaking that has been in terms of leading the world and just keeping us alive, keeping human beings alive, and keeping their citizens alive, putting their citizens first, And I just want to ask brothers and sisters to check out the Morning Star, the Morning Star. Check out that article on the Morning Star, And we stand in solidarity with Cuba. We want to end the blockade, the unjust blockade that is being imposed on Cuba by the U.S. That has been led by U.S. imperialism. So end to the blockade against Cuba that's being placed on Cuba, brothers and sisters. The third story that I want to talk about, brothers and sisters, third report is from Black Agenda Report, and it's Dario Azzanelli's Communes and Workers' Control in Venezuela, and it's basically he has a book, Dario Azzanelli, and it's about his thoughts on how he believed that his book would be, how he would like his book to be understood out there, by the readership. But just let me check out our Black Agenda Report.com, brothers and sisters. And it says Dario Azzanelli's Communes and Workers' Control in Venezuela. Millions of Venezuelans are building socialism from below, and most of them are black, brown, and female. In this series, we ask acclaimed authors to answer 5 questions about their book. This week's featured author is Dario Azzanelli. Azzanelli is a visiting fellow at the Latin American Studies program, Cornell University. His book is Communes and Workers' Control in Venezuela, Building 21st Century Socialism from Below. Roberto Servant asks, how can your book help Black Agenda readers understand the current political and social climate? The professor answers, the book counters the international and especially U.S. propaganda against Venezuela. It does not only counter the right-wing propaganda, it does also counter the focus of many leftists on government policies only. It shows that in Venezuela, beyond any critique you might have of government policies, there are millions of people on the ground building day-to-day socialism from below by building structures of self-government, planning according to their needs, taking over underperforming or abandoned buildings and companies from private owners and from state institutions. The mainstream media and even many people considering themselves leftists cannot understand why the Maduro government is still in power and could not be toppled by the economic and financial sanctions, terrorist attacks, and political pressure set up by U.S. imperialism, its ultra-wing allies in the region such as Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, and the European Union. Many depict the Venezuelan government as maintaining power through repression. That is complete nonsense. If you want to understand why Maduro is still in power, why there isn't a revolt against the government, and why the U.S. financed right-wing extremists and white supremacists around self-proclaimed President Guaido cannot mobilize a mass support from the popular sectors, you have to look at the rank and file, and I look at that in my book. Despite all the critique and the conflicts they have with the government, institutions, and the bureaucrats, they don't turn against the government. In the current situation, it is the only option they see in order to be able to continue with what they are building. If they look at Colombia, a strong ally and supporter of Guaido, and the opposition, they can see how hundreds of social, political, ecological, indigenous, and Afro-Venezuelan activists and organizers have been killed by the military and their allies. The paramilitaries, since a peace agreement with the FARC guerrillas was signed in 2016. Guaido is allied with the narco paramilitary gangs and the Colombian government. Recently, pictures of Guaido with narco paramilitary leaders surface. You can take any photo and you will see that the opposition is white and their representatives are mainly white men. But Venezuela's barrios and rural regions are mainly black and brown. The popular culture of the majority of Venezuelans is Caribbean, and the majority organizing on the ground are women. Brothers and sisters, I would ask you to go on Counterpunch and check out the story. This is a good story. This is a good report. This is a good report. No, not Counterpunch. Sorry, Black Agenda. Again, ahead of myself. Check out our Black Agenda report. This is a good report. There's also another story on Black Agenda by Erica Keynes about liberalism will kill us. Check that out too. But definitely check out the story on Black Agenda report about Venezuela and workers building socialism. The workers building up a new economy from below. Building an economy in their interest. So check this out on Black Agenda report, and also check out Erica Keynes' liberalism will kill us. I believe that's the name. Yeah, Erica Keynes' liberalism will kill us. Check that out too, brothers and sisters. The next story that I want to get into, next report that I want to get into, I was getting ahead of myself, is on Counterpunch, counterpunch.org. Microsoft from Ramzi Baroud. Microsoft should not fund Israeli spying on Palestinians. Microsoft should not fund Israeli spying on Palestinians. Also check out on counterpunch.org Sam Pizzigati, Inequality and the Iron Law of Decaying Public Services. Sam Pizzigati, Inequality and the Iron Law of Decaying Public Services. But let me get into the story. Microsoft should not fund Israeli spying on Palestinians. The act of Palestinian activists, and just let me say, there are a lot of stories on Black Agenda. Check out all them stories, and check out all the stories on Counterpunch too. More fire. As Capleton would say, more fire. Just keep the fire burning. Keep the fire burning. Check out, as it says, Microsoft should not fund Israeli spying on Palestinians. The act of Palestinian activists covering their faces during Israeli occupation rallies is an old practice that spans decades. The masking of the face, often by kufiyas, traditional Palestinian scarves that grew to symbolize Palestinian resistance, is far from being a fashion statement. Instead, it is a survival technique. Without it, activists are likely to be arrested in subsequent nightly raids, at times even assassinated. In the past, Israel used basic techniques to identify Palestinians who take part in protests and mobilize the people in various popular activities. TV news footage or newspaper photos were thoroughly deciphered, often with the help of Israel's collaborators in the occupied territories, and the culprits would be identified, summoned to meet Shin Bet intelligence officers, or arrested from their homes. The old technique was eventually replaced by more advanced technology. Countless images transmitted directly through Israeli drones, the flagship of Israel's security industry. Thousands of Palestinians were detained and hundreds were assassinated in recent years as a result of drone attacks. Drones data, analyzed through Israel's burgeoning facial recognition software. If in the past Palestinian activists were keen on keeping their identity hidden, now they have much more compelling reasons to ensure the complete secrecy of their work. Considering the information sharing between the Israeli army and illegal Jewish settlers and their armed militias in the West Bank, Palestinians face the double threat of being targeted by armed settlers as well as by Israeli soldiers. True, when it comes to Israel, such a grim reality is hardly surprising. But what is truly disturbing is the direct involvement of international corporate giants, the like of Microsoft, in facilitating the work of Israeli military, whose sole aim is to crush any form of dissent among Palestinians. Microsoft prides itself on being a leader in corporate social responsibility, emphasizing that privacy is a fundamental human right. The Washington state-based software giant dedicates much attention, at least on paper, to the subject of human rights. Microsoft is committed to respecting human rights. Microsoft Global Human Rights Statement asserts, "We do this by harnessing the beneficial power of technology to help realize and sustain human rights everywhere." In practice, however, Microsoft's words are hardly in line with its actions, at least not when it comes to the human rights maxims, not when its human rights maxims are applied to occupied and besieged Palestinians. Writing in the American News Network NBC News on October 27th, Olivia Solon reported on Microsoft funding of the Israeli firm AnyVision, which uses facial recognition to secretly watch West Bank Palestinians. Through its venture capital arm M12, Microsoft has reportedly invested 78 million in the Israeli startup company that uses facial recognition to surveil Palestinians throughout the West Bank, in spite of the tech giant's public pledge to avoid using technology if it encroaches on democratic freedoms. AnyVision has developed an advanced technical surveillance software system. Brothers and sisters, time running up on me. Go on Corner Punch. Please check out this story. I all about trying to highlight, expose anywhere where they're using technology for oppression and not using technology for justice, to bring economic justice, and equality. So go on cornerpunch.org and check out the story about Microsoft and the Palestinian issue. Check that out. Ramzi Baroud, brothers and sisters. Ramzi Baroud, cornerpunch.org. Check out that story. So those are the things that I want to talk about, brothers and sisters. From the art world, I want to say enough respect to Buju Banton, you know what I mean? Enough respect to Buju Banton and Spraga Brands, you know what I mean? Spraga Brands, road boy living in no fun thing for sure. But definitely enough respect to Buju Banton. Me no trust no phone. Trust me, Buju. I know what you mean. Me no trust no phone. Respect to Buju. And let me say to Tay Rock, I know Tay Rock voices T-Rex in the battle rap world. There's a little bit about art, art, brothers and sisters. In the battle rap world, I know that Tay Rock versus T-Rex coming up. That's like Sting versus Ric Flair. Anybody who knows battle rap understand what I saying. That's like Sting versus Ric Flair, and I talking like the Great American Bash. You know what I mean? And I talking Sting with the, I ain't talking the black and white Sting. I talking the real Sting, and I talking, Ric Flair when he was Ric Flair, but that's definitely Sting versus Ric Flair. Rock is Sting, and, T-Rex is Ric Flair, you know what I mean? But I gang with Sting. Brothers and sisters, in regard to just a little bit about sports. You know what I was supposed to talk about last week, brothers and sisters? I had watched a game, and I haven't been keeping up on the sports as I should, but I had watched a game about 2 weeks ago, the Lakers and Dallas. A crazy game, really good game, and this is what I would say. I think that the future of the NBA is bright. The future of the NBA is bright, but that was a really good game. And sports is about chemistry, life is about organize and organize, putting things in the right, all the right pieces in the right place. And I think Dallas and LA, if you would watch that game, you would see what I mean. Putting things in the right places, and sports is so much about chemistry, and that same kind of chemistry is that we have to apply to life. Organizing the workers, reorganizing life, and putting all the different resources and having our control over it, putting that in the right place, making things as they should be. But yeah, the NBA, the future is bright for the NBA. Kyrie balling, Kyrie balling right now. James Harden balling. Kawhi Leonard, he balling right now. And KD ain't come back. He had a nice show when Steph come back. But he could be great. The future, when him and KD come back, the future of the NBA, trust me, it's great. A little bit about movies. Last week I said something. I had mentioned in Dolomite. What Dolomite reminded me of those black. I used to when I was young. When I used to wake up in the mornings, my old man he used to be watching. He used to watch all of those black. They call them black exploitation movies, but that's what my old man used to watch. So that's what I used to. I grew up watching that with him. Pam Grier, Fred, all Fred Williams, Jim Brown, Jim Kelly, all of that. You know what I mean? I definitely grew up watching those kind of movies at a very young age. They was like my first. That's the first time I saw like black people like, you know what I mean, kicking and solving things, and yeah. But yeah, that's one of the things that Dolomite brought back to me, made me think about. And I saw that you know what I gotta watch? I gotta watch The Irishman. Last week I had mentioned 2 weeks ago I talked about Scarface and Al Pacino. You can't talk about Al Pacino. Can't mention Al Pacino and then don't even mention Robert De Niro. You know what I mean? Goodfellas. You can't talk about movies and not talk about Goodfellas, eh? But definitely, I see that there's a movie, The Irishman. I have to go watch that movie. I haven't watched it yet, but I'll watch it, and maybe I'll do a review on it, because that's a triple. That's Scorsese, Al Pacino, and Robert De Niro. And Robert De Niro, like I say, Goodfellas, Casino. You don't have to say no more than that. But and he have a lot more movies than that. But and then Goodfellas. What good? I like gangster movies. Locks. I like British gangster movies. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. It's a good movie. But community announcement, brothers and sisters, at the National Art Gallery on West Hill Street. There's and this is from the art and culture section of the Nassau Guardian from Natalie Willis. There is an exhibition by an artist, Averia Wright, and the exhibition is titled "The Straw Paradox: The pig that built his house on straw." The straw paradox, the pig that built his house on straw. And I would ask the brothers and sisters and go check it out. It's at the National Art Gallery, which is on West Hill Street. And I'll go check it out. And I would say this. I would say, even though I haven't seen it, this is what I would say. The people don't have control over their resources. If we had control over the resources, not that there's something wrong with tourists looking at the pig, but instead of looking at pigs for our energy being directed like that, it would be directed in us breeding those things, so that breeding animals, so that those animals, so that we can provide food for our people. But so the majority of the meat comes in from another food comes in from another country. So we don't control our resources, and we have the creative energy in us. The straw. We got to conquer the coconut, brothers and sisters. We got to conquer the coconut. But the petty bourgeoisie would maybe more support marijuana than conquering the coconut. I want you to watch that. But we got to conquer. That's where the straw come from. We got to conquer the coconut. But the workers will lead that new economic transformation that we need, because we have the energy in us. That's what John Canoe represent. African resistance, collective, working together. We ain't doing it for no money. So we have the collective energy in us to industrialize our resources. But the bourgeoisie, they are ideologically bankrupt. They do not know what to do. So we don't control our resources, and the bourgeoisie are bankrupt. We need an industrialization of our national resources to collectively work together to build up our resources for our own interests. But only the workers can do that. But the petty bourgeoisie, because they have relationship with the imperialists, who to dominate our food and dominate the other industries, that necessity to transform, that necessity to resolve the issues in this country, to have a politics where we have control over our resources. That's not something. That's not a contradiction that the petty bourgeoisie want to resolve. The only people who can resolve that is the workers, and we have that energy in us to resolve that. We just need revolutionary leadership and organization. But I'd ask people to check out the Straw Paradox at the National Art Gallery. It's an exhibition by Averia Wright, and it's titled "The Straw Paradox: The pig that built his house on straw" at the National Art Gallery. We don't control our resources, and the bourgeoisie is ideologically bankrupt, brothers and sisters. Workers' nationalization, industrialization can come from the people. Well, that's what we gotta do. We have the energy in us. But anyway, brothers and sisters, that's this week. Alex Morley for Beyond the Boundaries. I'll be here next week, where we bring you news and information from the African nation and from the international socialist movement. Uhuru, brothers and sisters, Uhuru, Uhuru, one Africa, one nation. Uhuru, Uhuru to the brothers and sisters in the African People's Socialist Party. Uhuru, one Africa, one nation. Uhuru.